Hi, this is Dr. Cairns. I want to look at the intersection between employee development and career development and looking at the definition of the two and how they're different, but also how they are similar in terms of serving the needs that we would have as an employee, but also our needs for our own career development. And essentially, the definitions are similar in the same elements: learning, training, skill building, mentoring, on the job experiences. And those are done employee development wise in order to benefit the organization, the strategies and goals that that organization has. But are those strategies and goals much different than your own personally? And they do in some ways serve our own individual needs, but also they're somewhat different. And a wise leader would look at how they intersect and how we can do one to benefit your own career growth and goals and objectives that you have, as well as servicing the needs of the organization. So there's some stages to career development, and you may find yourself on this spectrum somewhere where you're gaining expertise, where you're growing that expertise, and then where you turn around to start to develop others. And as you look at these various stages and the time frames within them and the activities that you would engage in on those, you could see where, as an employer, you would want to help develop your employees. One, giving them stretch assignments, broadening their business involvement, hopefully exposing them to mentors and coaches, and then the opportunity for them to have a high impact on the business itself. So these various stages, there are things that are taking place in employee development or not. So how am I going to gain these experiences that I need in order to progress in my career? And if I can't get those formally from my organization through training and development that they offer, can I get that through the experiences and the jobs that I have? So one way or another, they both go together. So just talk a little bit about offering you some no-brainers when it comes to your development, and that is extraordinary performance is required regardless of where we are in an organization. That's a ticket that has to be punched. We need to develop a reputation for delivering results, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, and actually Jack Welch will also at the end of this little discussion. And then put yourself at risk. Take the hard job. And we may think, well, yeah, you know what, we do that, but there are opportunities or things that may present itself, and sometimes putting ourselves at risk may mean picking up and packing our bags and moving to another location, or it may be taking on a project where it's somewhat ambiguous. And I had some jobs that had no job description, and I'd had people say to me, Tom, this is really great because you get to define it. And my response initially was, yeah, you're right, but the problem is it's not defined. But you find as you move forward and get comfortable with taking a risk, not knowing maybe totally the outcome, but feeling confident, those will be things that will help accelerate your development. And then become proficient, though, in one technical area. And that doesn't mean necessarily technical in the aspect of how you define technical, but it means in terms of maybe functionality, marketing, HR, finance, operations, whatever that area is. There are some key areas and functions that you want to become, quite frankly, an expert. So you want then to grow your career and your expertise with a breadth and depth. And then sometimes a career no-brainer means that, you know, the traditional career ladder is gone, and sometimes a lateral move is necessary for your development. And those are things that, quite frankly, I would liken your careers to be more of zigzagging or serpentining along, gaining the experiences that you need to continue to progress in your career. And then be a continuous learner, and obviously you're working on that with your MBA and your graduate studies, and in some ways that's kind of built in. But one aspect of an MBA program is that you have it laid out for you, activities and learning that you have to engage in. But once that's over, how do you continue to push yourself in your own development? So be a continuous learner. And then recognize, though, that your career, it's a journey. It's not a destination, but you're also the one driving it. You're in the driver's seat for that. So you can expect and hope for some development by your employer, but nevertheless, a lot of that experience is going to need to be where you push it along, and you are the one that designs your own employee development. So just some thoughts for you, and I want to close out with some career advice from Jack Welch himself.
I have three things I like to tell young graduates today. And one of the things is that schools in some ways, while they prepare them so well, they also have one flaw that sticks with people. The first thing is over-deliver. Every time a student when you work in a business and you're asked to do something, if you just do what the boss asks you to do, you will end up just confirming what the boss wanted to have written down. They already knew the answer when they asked the question. So your job in a new job is to over-deliver. Give them new perspectives. When anybody asks them, schools ask you for a problem solving in a case, or anything, then they ask you the questions. So you answer the questions. You don't get the answer. You don't get the questions in business. You have to develop a perspective that's wider. And I always tell the story of my first job. I was a project manager in a little plastic operation in Pittsfield, Mass. And my boss from New York was coming up to see, not my boss, my boss's boss, and they wanted me to come in one of those GE white shirt pitches to present the cases for my new plastic. Tell them where I was going. So I got all prepared and everything else. But what I did do was I didn't talk about my project alone. I talked about the 10 plastics in the industry, where they were going to be in 5 years, their cost structure, from Dow, Celanese, DuPont, etc. I developed that package, and I gave my boss's boss this picture of the industry. I think that's how I got noticed there. I got out of the pile because I didn't just give him my project report, here's what I did yesterday, here's what I did tomorrow, here's what we'll do next day. I gave him a perspective and made him look smarter. He now knew more about the industry than he ever knew. And that's what you want to do. You always want to over-deliver. Never do what the assignment is. Do more than that. Wider, new insights, new horizons. Secondly, you got to walk around with a positive attitude. No one wants a black cloud around them all day. If you're a sourpuss, get rid of it. Don't bring it to work. It's a disaster. It's a career killer. Just don't do it. And the third thing is, don't be ambitious. Be ambitious, but don't be ambitious to the point that it's on your forehead in a neon sign. Don't do it. Do it privately. Have all the ambition in the world, but don't go in and rub it in everyone's nose. So with those three things, over-deliver, a positive attitude, and don't wear ambition on your forehead, I think you'd be off to a pretty good start.
That's great.